years I was baptized here. I'm on the altar guild, and I'm on LEM, Vestry, and search committee.
I don't know the other mic is live, so I'm just
Yes. They're both there.
Oh, they both are. Oh, good. I'm Jean Knightson, and we came to La Crosse in 1984. And very shortly after that, we were drawn to Christ Episcopal Church. And, you know, I've been working with Sunday school, church choir, lady agrees to visit the Christ ministry in the altar and morning walk. So I hope to meet more people that I don't know.
And Jean is our newest member of the search committee. She is replacing Jennifer Terpstra, who is still on the search for the vestry, but has had to resign from the search committee due to personal reasons, not anything to do with the work that we're doing, because she still wants to attend. But it's a personal, private reason that she has asked to resign from the search committee only. And thank you, Jean, and thanks to all those who did apply.
Hi, I'm Carrie Wald. I'm a vestry member and search committee member. I've been attending here for 13 years, and I serve as a first minister.
Doris Fancy, and I have a little bit of everything as far as youth, minister, and so on, visiting. I've been here all say this time 61 years.
Bob Weathers, I've been a member since my wife and I moved to town in 1972.
Jane Rose, my husband Mark, and my 3 daughters have been members for about 10 years.
I'm Rachel Heiss. I have been here. Can you hear me? I'm Rachel Heiss. I have been here for about 4 years, moved here from Des Moines. I have been Eucharistic visiting, and now I will be coordinating the parish ministry, the visiting ministry, pastoral ministry. So if anybody wants a pastoral visit, or I know anybody you might, please let me know or contact me on this.
Hi.
I'm Michelle Elliott. My husband Andrew and my 2 kids, Kate and William, have been attending Christ Church now for 6 years, and it's an honor to get to serve our church family.
I'll lock the microphone up to anyone who has a question.
Yep. Lee can introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Lee. I'm manning the camera. I think most everybody here knows who I am. It's nice to be here.
Okay, we're going to open this session up with questions from the congregation that you may have. If you would prefer that we pass around a basket to have you write them down so that it's anonymous, we can do that. Otherwise, please stand up and ask your questions, so we'll get a microphone to you so all can hear the question as it's being asked. Anyone?
This is actually a question that I forwarded to the community, and said that I would be joining, but it was also asked at the first service by Cheryl Grant. And essentially, the question was that we've had a number of candidates, a number of calls, a number of experiences with people, and wondering what we have learned from them that we can carry forward in the future, particularly with respect to, why was the call not accepted, and did that give us any information and guidance and something that we could use as we reach out in the future.
One of the questions had was kind of indirectly related to the salary that we were offering. And what we use is something to determine the offering salary is this report from the church pension group. It's published annually by the church pension group. There's nothing secret. You can go out online and find it out online and look and see. And what it does is it lists clergy compensation by age, by gender, by geographic location, whether you can sort the data, whether you're on the East Coast or the West Coast or the Upper Midwest. We're obviously in the Upper Midwest. And the pay package that the church is offering is in the top 15 percentile. So of the priests that would be making more than what the pay package that the Vestry has put together, these would be priests serving congregations like Trinity Wall Street, the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C., and places like that. Well, that's not the group that we're working in. But in terms of a priest in the Upper Midwest, the pay package that the Vestry has put together is extremely competitive, and salary should not be an issue. And in addition to just the raw salary, the Vestry has put together a benefits package that, quite frankly, is second to none. It includes full family medical insurance. Some churches try to save a little money by providing a little bit less coverage, which leads to a less expensive medical insurance premiums. Our Vestry has not done that. It's a very, very competitive package. Dental insurance is provided, vacation, continuing education allowance, sabbatical. It's extremely competitive. With respect to the number of clergy and the number of churches that are looking, right now there are 4,700 Episcopal clergy in the United States, and there are at least 350 churches that are looking for a priest like us. So it is a very tight job market right now. There are more openings than there are priests to fill, so that's a bit of an issue. With respect to the number of offers that we put out, I think everybody's aware that we extended 3 offers. Two of the clergy that didn't accept our call. One of them went to a church that was more than 3 times our size in terms of not just membership, but also in terms of budget. And that particular church also had other clergy on staff, so it was a much larger church than ours. The second candidate went to a church that was almost twice our size in terms of membership and budget. So we might not have actually been in the running with either one of those two. The third call that we extended was to a priest. We knew at the time that the call was extended that he was on a list for to be a bishop in another diocese, and he had been at his present church for about 12 years, and he had already notified his congregation that regardless of whether he was elected bishop or not, he felt like his work there was done, and he was looking for another church. And he and his wife had family in the Midwest. They had family out east, and I think that he was kind of torn as to where they would go if he was not elected bishop. And we extended the call, and I think that during that process, he and his wife sat down and talked it over and decided that the East Coast was probably going to be a better fit for them. So it was over geography. Long story short, the pay has not, at least from everything that we've learned throughout the process, pay has never been raised as an issue with any of the applicants. And I think that's because the Vestry has done due diligence, and we've got a very good package that's out there. The other ones over geography, well, there's nothing we can do about that. You know, we're in the province. So anyway, I hope that, you know, that's some of the things that we've learned. But the pay package is very competitive. It's not, doesn't seem to be about money. And tomorrow night, the Vestry or the search committee is going to be meeting again to review a lot of these things as we look to continuing the search. So.
Thank you, Bob. I also want to do a little bit of informational explanation, and Tim, I'm going to ask you if you'll address the top 5 reasons that the congregational survey indicated were the reasons that we focus our interview questions on. And you can go ahead, Tim. And
Sure. When we had our survey that went out, and then when we had the listening sessions that we did with all of you, it was determined that pastoral care, growth of the church, family and youth ministry, good preacher, a humble leader, those are the things that you had asked for in your next rector. And all of our questions during all of the interviews are based on those ideas that we all had together on what we were looking for in our next rector. And so when we interview someone, then we talk about that as a group afterwards. Everything's been happening on Zoom. So when the Zoom call is over and the person logs off, we go around the screen and each one of us talks about those attributes that we were looking for, whether they had them or whether they were lacking in them. And we've even had one person who came to us. We brought someone here for an in-person interview, which we had done with the other 3 candidates. There was one additional candidate, and we realized that they didn't have everything that we were really looking for. Our negotiations, our meetings are very cordial. We don't always agree on everything, and we shouldn't. That's why there are 14 of us on the search committee. We don't always agree. But we're looking for your interests as the congregation of the church more than our own. We are looking for the next rector that will lead us into the future and take us past where we are now. And so that's how we do the interviews. That's how we focus everything on those attributes that you asked for in your next rector and that we're looking for in our next rector. And so that's why that part of it was so important. That's why we did the survey. That's why we do the listening sessions, to get an understanding of who we are looking for. And we use those markers or milestones to determine each candidate, whether they're making those or maybe they make some, but not the others. And then we look at the whole package of who that person is.
Thank you, Tim. Another piece of I guess what we've learned that in the beginning, when our committee first came together, which was a year and a half ago, and I will state information that we've obtained from the Diocese of Eau Claire and from Bishop Matt Gunter, that we do not hold the record for the length of time it takes to bring in a new rector. We're still working on that. Hopefully we don't beat that record or become the new milestone. But saying that, we've worked through COVID. All of our interviews have been done electronically. We haven't been together as a group physically. We work on Zoom. Our interviews are on Zoom. And when we finally get to the point, which is after our first interview, which then leads us to the second interview, which then, if everything is looking good, or we have a third interview, we invite them to come to see us, because there's something that's positive, at least the majority of us feel. We want to meet them face to face, even though even with COVID, there's traveling, which is inconvenient for the new candidate and then for us to meet with them. So there's nothing but roadblocks that we have had to overcome, similar to what Father Nick said in his sermon, that when you're told that you can't do something, you're going to find a way to get that fire burning and go around it. And we've gone around it. 14 people, look at them all here, different walks of life, different talents, different opinions, different experiences. Many have been on former search committees in different dioceses. So we have the talent for searching and for looking, and we go by the will of the Holy Spirit. If it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. We have one day of down, and then we move forward. Because we can't stay down, and we want to move forward and bring in a new rector, but we want it to be the right rector. We are a church family. We are a family committee. We are warm and fuzzy. I'll use those words because if we've got somebody that doesn't come across as being warm and fuzzy, we certainly don't want to bring them into a warm and fuzzy environment and they go out the door running. And so it's difficult to have all the ducks line up. But we do due diligence in trying to find those great people. Having said what Bob said, knowing that there are more positions than priests, knowing that we're reaching over across the seas, we've had many that are not United States citizens apply. I would say, maybe 6 now?
Yep.
Yeah, about 6 that are coming, that want to come to America. So we've also got another discussion when that occurs, because there's a whole new set of dynamics. But saying that, what we're hoping to do with this all-parish meeting today is be sure we address any concerns that are in the congregation. We have them too. We overcome them every time we meet. And some are better than others, and some disappointments are deeper than others. This last one set us down hard. And so we're trying to overcome all those obstacles. COVID now being what's considered to be a transition on post-COVID. Summer, I mean, again, another hurdle, but not so much because maybe they're looking in the summer. But we know folks are looking that wouldn't have looked before because of COVID. So we're hopeful. We are hopeful and we're faithful, and we know the right rector is out there, and it would be a matter of a day, and all of a sudden we've got somebody coming in our doors. So hopefully a week, maybe not a day, not realistic. But we've got many that have said, oh, I wish I were available. I'd love to be the rector of this church, because we're family, we're personal, we're personable, and we are faithful. We are traditional, we are full of the Holy Spirit, we worship according to the guidelines that God and Jesus have set out for us, our Book of Common Prayer, all the things. Hey, we've struggled to figure out how to put everything right. But yeah, there's only so many things you can grab a hold of and pull in, and so many things that you have absolutely no control over. So at this point, I'm going to also ask Bob to talk to you about our OTM, because the transition we're making before we go out with a new campaign ad is going from our parish profile to our OTM, which Bob has an excellent way of putting together into words. And we'll go ahead and open for questions so far. Go ahead, Betsy. Have there been a lot of applicants? In the year and a half, 24?
24 applicants. Yeah, 24.
But all of a sudden we'll get like 6 at a time and sometimes 1. And we do review every single one. And we have, go ahead, Vivian.
There's interest.
There is interest. Yes, we have interest. It's just that there are some things that didn't click. For instance, pastoral care. It's one of our big ones. If we find someone, and we did, who had everything but, and we couldn't decide to bring them in, because pastoral care is not something that a layperson can do on behalf of a rector or a priest. And so that was one of the biggest reasons. Family and children, sometimes if they've got a weakness in that area, because first of all, they may not have had experience, we can always get a youth director, but pastoral care is not one of those that we can compromise on. So yes, there's interest, but not always are there all the qualities out there. And there's some folks that are just looking to be looking. And some folks that are unhappy, and so they're looking for another place to move to. When they're first starting off with the questions about how do you handle conflict, we know something's been going on in their own church. There's some things that we've learned in our questions and answers from folks that we know there's more to it, and then that might lead us to a second interview to ask the questions a little less formally. But if you don't like family types of structure, this wouldn't be the right place for that person. We had somebody that was strictly business and wanted to run it strictly business, strictly administrative, and didn't want to come out of the office. We don't want that. We had somebody who said to us, well, I don't mingle in coffee hour. I'll stand off to the side and look and see if somebody needs me. Those are red flags for us, so then that eliminates somebody. So yeah, there's interest, but also we have to ferret through the details. Yeah.
My life.
You can take a look at
So,
that.
I was just thinking about how, you've heard Bob talk about how supply is low and demand is high. And then you heard that we had a lot of applicants, and it might be hard to reconcile those two. And I think that the important piece to say about that is we are being very selective so that who we find really fits in this church family. Carol talked about our diversity on this committee, and the diversity on the committee reflects the diversity of the congregation. And if there's anything we've all learned in the past year of our lives, it's about our differences, right? We've learned a lot about what we have in common, about our resilience in this country. We've also learned about our differences. And we really want someone that will help this congregation join and unify despite within our diversity and be able to shepherd everyone in this family. So if you're wondering why we had so many applicants in a time when the supply is low, why aren't we getting anywhere? It's because we're waiting for the person who the Holy Spirit leads us will unify in this group.
No. I know, we asked him, Vivian. He said he'd love to if he was 10 years younger. He's doing such a marvelous job for us right now, God bless him. He is even doing our pastoral care. He's agreed to come into office hours, but he is retired. He reminds us of that. He doesn't do weddings. He reminded us of that. There's some things that aren't done. Pastoral care is huge. We haven't had that for a year, so we're really grateful for what he can do. So God bless him. We really appreciate being at him. Yes. Any other questions right now? Otherwise, we'll have Bob explain to you what we're doing differently on the search committee team. And just so that everybody here knows, we're not having a meeting tomorrow night. We're having a meeting the Tuesday after Memorial Day because the OTM draft is not ready. Okay, so we're not meeting until June 2nd, maybe, or 1st? Julie, go ahead.
So this is just something I've been kind of curious about, and I don't know, maybe I'm just stepping in it by asking this question. I just curious, so the search committee, I guess what's the position on, like, say, performing gay marriage versus having a rector
Prefers?
Yeah.
Okay, let me tell you what we have agreed as a search committee team. First of all, congregation has not been surveyed. We don't know what the position of same-sex anything is. As far as marriage, that we did address. We do feel that whomever comes in will help us to lead and find out, do discernment. According to Bishop Matt Gunter, he is saying it takes about 18 months to go through the process of discernment as a congregation, because you're not going to have everybody on the same page, because it is controversial. It is also pro and con. However, the Episcopal Church has, and I'm just saying that because that's the conversations we've had, not my personal opinion. It is pro and cons, believe me. We have 14 people that can attest to that. What we have is a desire, when we bring somebody in for an interview, of their willingness to perform same-sex marriages. Because if they are not willing to perform same-sex marriages, or they say, we will offer them the counseling, we will offer them all of the information they need to be able to become married, and then they hand it off to somebody else to marry them, we feel that that is not warm and fuzzy, that's not family, that's not supportive, that's not what our desire is. And we have had folks who have said and have been very well qualified that they don't budge on that. It's their choice, it's their tradition, it's their vows that they're violating if they say yes. So we've learned a lot. I mean, I've learned an awful lot. I know that others have. If it's not from ourselves, it's from each other. And we do want somebody with an open enough mind that they will have a conversation and they will perform same-sex marriages. I can tell you, everyone has been touched in their lives by instance of having somebody that they love who is same-sex or has other issues, and that comes down to the family members in some of our rector candidates' cases. Could be their son, could be their brother, could be somebody else. They're very well versed in it and they understand everything that went through into it. But we ask them, tell us what your journey was that you got to the opinion that you have, and then we go from there. But we are, as a community, unified in saying we need to have the conversation, because that is the main thing that's going on in the universe today, is that discussion. So hopefully that helps you. Anyone else? Okay, I'll go ahead and let me just give you a preface to the parish profile. We spent in the very beginning a month at least, 14 different adaptations of putting together the parish profile that described who we were and who we are. And last year, COVID happened, and we're talking about what we used to be and what we used to do, and we're now in a new normal going forward. So we're going to no longer use the parish profile as our description of who we are, and we're going to move towards what's called an OTM, which is universally more acceptable. So let Bob take it.
OTM is an acronym for Office of Transition Ministry. And this is an arm of the Episcopal Church that when clergy are looking for, am I broadcasting this?
Yes.
Yep. When clergy are looking for a new position, they'll contact their diocesan transition minister, and they get plugged into a national network of transition ministers where they share information that's available to clergy who are looking for a new position. One of the things that the priest does at the outset is they fill out what's called their ministry portfolio. And there are common questions. There's about a dozen questions in there, and every priest who fills one of these out is asked the exact same question. There's also a page on that form where they put down what kind of salary it is that they're looking for. But it essentially is something that the priest fills out that tries to communicate what his or her gifts are and how they see themselves. And it's a very standardized form. A lot of dioceses are moving towards using these profiles. One of the things that the search committee does as part of our application process is we ask the priests to submit their ministry profile as part of things that Bishop Matt has suggested to us is that we ought to fill out what's called a community profile. And a community profile is a description of Christ Church as we see ourselves. And many of the questions that the priest is being asked, we're being asked too. You know, how do we see pastoral care, Christian education, some of the same things that the priest is asked to comment on. This new community profile will answer, the Vestry and Search Committee will answer those same questions on the same basis. And the way the process works, and we will also put down what the pay package is. So when the priest is looking at Christ Church, there won't be any doubt as to what the pay package is that we're offering, which will remove a lot of confusion, possible confusion. And so,